Uniforms is an identity, an idea of what sort of products to consume, whether it be clothing, film, music, or art. It's still just sort of a state of mind, an idea of how to dress, how to listen, how to digest what we do. It all derived from this idea from the start to make this small, kooky branded house. Since we had to build stuff for the film, it made sense to do the art project as well. There it evolved into some sort of creative splash that turned into an actual business venture. We tried doing different stuff within it, moving into these four fields: the music, the film production, the art, and the clothing line was just a logic blend. For Lars and me, a big part of our work is to sort of come up with the idea for this season's theme, and within this season's theme you have all these four fields, so it all derives from one seed of a concept, whether it's been like Trickery Lane or Features to a Mannequin or Blue Cone Colony or whatever. It sort of starts with that.
For Autumn Winter 11, the whole seasonal concept draws the relation on how we started Uniforms. We didn't know much about clothing design when we started. We weren't really any professionals in filmmaking and such. It was more like a learning by doing process. For the last couple of seasons, we made seasonal concepts that relates to, the laboratory. And that is exactly what we did. Autumn Winter 11, Features to Mannequins. Us Uniforms were dedicated creating detective wares, especially designed elsewhere.
The whole aspect of being from Sweden, in one way it's super simple, our perspective on it, and another way it's quite complicated. Internationally or in general, we have no interest whatsoever in being perceived as a Swedish brand or a Swedish collective. On the other hand, Swedish people are very interested in consuming Swedish products, Swedish brands, and we're kind of lazy and slow with going out in the world and consuming other types of brands, other type of fashion. So in that perspective, it's very healthy for us being Swedish, and that's how we sort of managed to penetrate this market as quickly and thoroughly as we've done. Speaking of home turf and speaking of Stockholm in general, I would say finally things are happening. Being quite a small and easy accessible city, going from a career-focused home to office to a very specific bar, and then home, now I think people are walking in wider circles and sort of trailing new paths. Since Stockholm is kind of based on islands, you get your own little territory, and now the different territories starts living up a bit, so you can more and more live your life in like your own smaller city within the city, which I really like. A monster during winter times and beautiful during summer times. You really get a sort of an eclectic paradise towards nightmare kind of feeling. Film, clothing, music or art, being surrounded by water or having all the canals and so on, that's where you get the energy, to me.